First, Patrick Mahomes went to shake hands with Brian Branch. He wanted nothing to do with it. Then Juju Smith extended a hand and got popped in the face. That sparked a melee, a brouhaha, if you will. And it sure felt like a suspension was coming for Brian Branch. Yesterday, the NFL announced, as it usually does for something like this, because things need to be expedited. The appeal needs to be expedited. Brian Branch is suspended pending appeal, and he reportedly has appealed the one-game suspension for the conduct that prompted former NFL offensive lineman John Runyon to tell Branch, "You are sitting down for Week 7, Devin."
Yeah, and the suspension, I think, will be upheld. There's no doubt about it. What I not laughable, but having been a player and been on the field, some of the language, the back and forth, like if they ever played that mic'd up moments, people would be shocked. And as soon as I saw it and I saw the block in the back, I was like, I think Brian Branch got up and he looked at Juju and he said, after the game, I'm going to blank you up. And usually that happens 100 times a game. In that situation, Brian Branch was serious. And he looked like a man on a mission. Like everyone first was talking about, man, he doesn't shake Patrick. He wasn't thinking about Mahomes he wasn't thinking about anybody being there other than what he was about to do. Unacceptable. You cannot do that. You can't let what happens during the game roll over and now act like you blocked in the back, held, like grabbed, like so many things happen again. Like you cannot do that. Like you can't do that in high school, college, youth football. Like there's no place to do anything like that. I think Branch will serve his one-game suspension and then they'll need him back out there. But I mean, it really hurts the Detroit team going in the game without him and Kirby Joseph possibly being banged up. Like that could be rough for them.
All right, I'm going to put my lawyer hat on for a second because I think what's relevant here, presumably, what happens is there is now a group of 4 individuals, former players, who handle these appeals. They are jointly hired and compensated by the league and the union. They're not truly independent and disconnected. They're part of this bubble. They're part of this ecosystem. One of them will get the assignment to handle this appeal. Now, if I'm representing Brian Branch, my argument is that precedent doesn't support a suspension here. When Trent Williams smacked Richard Sherman in the face after a game, 2012 playoffs, he didn't get suspended. He got fined $7,871. When Davante Adams just 3 years ago shoved a guy with a camera stand who was running by him, shoved him to the ground, he got charged with misdemeanor assault. He didn't get suspended. He didn't get fined. The league didn't do anything to him, which was still kind of bizarre. The only comparable, if you're looking at it from the league's perspective, would be Myles Garrett hitting Mason Rudolph over the head with his own helmet. That was a 6-game suspension during a game with a weapon. And then Jalen Carter spitting on Dak Prescott earlier this year. So that's where the battle line would be. I'm saying, hey, those are distinguishable. That's the lawyer term. Those facts are distinguishable from these facts. The going rate for slapping a guy in the face is 78.71, adjusted for inflation. And if you assault someone after the game, you didn't even punish Davante Adams. And the league will say, look at what we did to Jalen Carter. So I don't know how it plays out because you know what? You got 4 of these people. One could say upheld. One could say rejected. The other one could say, we're going to do unpaid like they did with Jalen Carter. You're not going to get paid. You're going to get fined for the amount of the game, but you're still going to be allowed to play. Here's where it gets interesting, Devin. If the Branch camp wins, what do the Lions do? When you look at how strong of a statement Dan Campbell made after the game, this is inexcusable. It's not going to be accepted here. Will they bench him for half of the game, all of the game, part of the game, if he ends up forcing his way back onto the field? That's where it gets, I think, to me, fascinating. What the Lions would do by way of, you got to pay him, you don't have to play him if he does win this appeal.
Yeah, that is interesting. I still remember we played Buffalo and Gronkowski after a play threw his forearm and one of the defensive backs. And I remember sitting there, and I think he ultimately got suspended. But as a captain on the team, of us figuring out, like, if he didn't get suspended, we wonder, like, what would the team do? What would Belichick and Mr. Cry, like, what would be the ultimate decision in that situation? I do think, from being a player, I think it's hard that if the league goes through everything that they go through and you don't get suspended and you get suspended for the game, I think is hard to accept as the player that's going through it, but also as a teammate, and not having a guy. And like, I think that's tough, but I could easily see a quarter or not starting the game, something like that, to try to kind of send a message. But I think it's hard to suspend a guy when the league reviews it. And if they say, no, he's good, then I think from a team standpoint, then like, you should be good.
At a minimum, it's going to be a significant fine. And if the fine is $76,000, that is the amount of a game check. And that's ultimately what happened to Jalen Carter after he spat on Dak Prescott week 1.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.